one of our friends was over yesterday, and she's gay, and I asked her about when she came out and how that went, and the one thing she said was, you know, her parents didn't take it well. They grew up in the church, and they went to church, and one of the things that she said that stuck in my mind was, we didn't raise you this way. And so what has stood out to me after watching the video, yesterday's video, is your question about, so talk to me about the whole religious viewpoint on gays and transgenders, and that stood out to me to talk a little bit more about, because I see the culture that I came from in Michigan. In a lot of ways, there is a lot more religious, more strict religious viewpoints, possibly, at least from my perspective. And I probably believe that there are many people in the Midwest or in those religious communities that are probably close to my age, or maybe a little younger or a little older, that have not come out yet, whether it's gay or transgender or whatever, because or
polyamorous or
yeah,
gender fluid,
as a result of the church and the church's views on them, their parents' views.
This is for what it's worth. So that stuck in my craw too, that we didn't raise you like this, when her dad said that to her when she came out. And my dad said that to me at some point as well. I think that parents think that if they do A, B, and C, they'll get D. And I think that there's a difference in parenting between doing the right thing and nurturing your child, and then watching where your child goes with that. So I think back in the day, maybe not so much now, people thought that if they took a child to church, or they taught them how to be honest and good and upright and all of that, that they would be a certain type of person then.
Right.
And we're finding that what they did was good for us, but not in the way that they had wanted it to be. And so there's a little bit of a rub when you come out, because coming out is coming out of darkness, coming out of something, coming out of one way of being and going into another way of being.
Right.
And all of us have ways that we are in darkness, or the closet, or the basement, or the house, or the room, or whatever, into something that's out, that is exposed, that is maybe free, that is a little bit more risky, unprecedented.
Yep.
And that's something that we're all looking for. And
my parents did tell me that at some point in my life, but it didn't have to do with being transgender. But I totally agree on that perspective. And I think that parents have a hard time not seeing their children as a direct reflection to themselves. They did what was best. In the end, everybody walks alone. And I don't say that in a pessimistic sort of way, but this is me, this is my being, I'm responsible for it. Which brings me to kind of what I was thinking about, the religious aspect of this that we kind of touched on yesterday. And some of the things that people have said to me, and we talked a little bit about God created a man and woman. I watched what I had said to you, and I do believe that he did create man and woman. It's very obvious. What that looks like and the form that takes for people is different.
And it's not man or woman.
Right.
It's man and woman.
Right.
You have feminine qualities despite being integrally a man, and I have masculine qualities that some people would see as a masculine trait.
Right.
Despite my inherent femininity.
Exactly. I mean, we all know that as you get a little older in life, testosterone starts kicking in, right? Right, Vivian? You start looking at your biceps while you're driving down the road. Ooh.
Anyway, this conversation is taking a turn that I didn't want. How do you reconcile the religious aspect of being a transgender with God, or what the being that you
relate to?
Yeah.
I've been confronted by a few, I have to call them Christians, religious leaders. I grew up in a pretty legalistic Christian church in Michigan, and for years beat myself up about drinking and smoking and chewing and going to parties, things like that, I would listen to every Sunday, made it feel like I was going to hell for those. So if you're going to hell for those, you're definitely going to hell in my mind for being transgender, which I didn't even know that that's what it was called. But as I walked through life and I realized that it was a personal relationship between me and God or Buddha or the being that you choose, it's personal. It's a personal thing. Personal is the key word here. Not you're part of that. You have a say in my personal relationship. You can influence it. You might have perspectives about it. But when it came down to me choosing to want to follow God, I did a lot of soul searching and I screamed, I yelled, I said, change me. I said, make me like everybody else. I met you and I wanted to be a part of that Christian church community and always kind of felt like I was on the outside of it. And then after meeting you and falling in love with you, that added another whole dimension to, oh my God, am I going to hell? I'm a sinner. I'm a girl. And even the whole gay thing wasn't acceptable either. So it was just a whole plethora of I'm going to hell for things, all of these things. In the end, really, it's between me and God. If heaven is where we're going in the end, when we die, it's between me and him. I gotta live the best possible life I can live. At one point, my conversation with him was, you didn't create me to try to fit in. That's not what the Bible talks about, fitting in and conforming. It talks about being who you are. I gotta be who I am. If you're not okay with it in the end, then we'll deal with it then. He said, the kingdom of heaven is here. Here meaning here. Now, here and now, whatever I can do to increase heaven on earth, that means I need to be a man in a woman's body in the world for me to do that. So I think that the thing that I want to say to people is follow your heart. Follow where your essence, your spirit, whatever entity you want to call it, go with your gut. Go with your heart when it comes to religion or Christianity. You know. And other people cannot make that decision for you. I had a dream several years ago, and in the dream, I was sitting with God. We were talking about life, and it was like we were having coffee, just like you and I would sit down and having a conversation, and he just looked at me and he said, at that time, Shelly, he said, you know what? You can follow the law. You can follow the letter of the law, and that's okay. Or he said you can live in grace and you can live that way.
Like grace?
And in freedom and grace. But he said, just remember, if you live by the letter of the law, you gotta live by every letter. So it's choice. He gave the choice. I didn't want to live by the law. I don't want to live that confined and tight-fisted. I realized this whole being human on this earth is a journey. And it's your journey. It's my journey. It's your journey. And you just do the best with what you got. That's all I believe the universe is asking for. Be kind to people. Be kind to yourself. Don't let religion define you.
What do you think that the show will do for you or for other people or for Ionia?
And so by doing this, it will streamline my story for me. As far as what I'm hoping for other people, it's that they know that somebody else has walked it through the journey, made it so far to the other side. Maybe I'm hoping that it will encourage and inspire others and also challenge people to open their eyes and see we're all human beings on this journey. For Ionia, I'm hoping that a lot of people come that might need a little encouragement, that they can see that there is hope in this world. I just wanted to touch a little bit on what it was like in later middle school into high school, because I know there are kids out there that may be feeling something who are a little bit younger. There may be kids who are in junior high or high school that are, especially in the Midwest culture, that don't necessarily feel like they fit in, or maybe they're questioning. That can be a phase in your life where it gets really messy.
Tell us about your experience.
There's pain in that place. I just remember it was so awkward. I felt awkward with other people. I felt like, yes, I had friends that were girls and I had friends that were guys. Everybody's, starting to date and like each other, and I didn't feel like I could be me.
Are there tears there?
There is sadness. Yeah. Feeling ugly and not wanting to go out on a date with a guy, but terrified to ask a girl out. Not even knowing how I fit in sexually, or talk about gender dysphoria. That was like the epitome of it. Was junior high to probably mid-20s, where life's already crazy because of puberty and all the changes that happen. You graduate high school and you go to college, or don't go to college and get a job. I had a cool group of friends that kind of accepted me in both camps. I mean, there were I had some friends that were girls and some friends that were guys, and we kind of intermixed and did things together. But if I could offer something to somebody, if you're in that time frame in your life, or you're coming into pre-puberty and you want somebody to talk to, or you need something, you are more than welcome to talk to me, or let somebody know that you trust, because they might be able to help you walk through that journey.
So you mentioned that yesterday, I think it was, that you said you didn't know the word for transgender.
Mm-hmm.
Did we talk about that yesterday? So, you did talk about when you were little, you were waiting to grow a penis.
Right.
And so you felt like there was a part of you missing, and then when you started to develop breasts, you were like, this doesn't work. This doesn't feel right. What did you name that feeling, that whole...
I just thought I was gay.
You did?
Mm-hmm. Because it was the only thing I could...
It was the closest
explanation that I could think. And then as time went on, I'm like, no, I don't think I'm really gay. That doesn't make sense.
Why didn't it make sense?
I don't have an answer to that. It didn't fit. It just didn't settle right with me.
So you weren't normal, whatever normal is, and you weren't gay. So then as you went through the gay thing and you realized you weren't gay, what did you think then?
I just thought I was a freak.
So then you put yourself in a category of monster, other...
Yeah, all the above.
And that would have been when you were junior high?
Yeah, it probably started forming there. Maybe a little bit earlier, but probably right around there, 12. It took me a long time to get out of that.
So wait, you said you and I were having a conversation and I asked you if you felt like a man.
Yeah.
And then I asked you what percentage would you give it. Okay.
Yeah, and at that point I had said like 60-40. And from that point, you did a whole bunch of research. Our relationship started to make sense to both of us. And we saw the term transgender, which just fit. Like, you know when something, it fits. It just...
Just like gay didn't fit.
Right.
Being a man trapped in a woman's body fit you and your description of yourself, your internal compass.
Yes. Within a few years, we moved to Nashville, Tennessee, and happened to room across the hall from a transgender female to male, Sherry Joe, and a lot. It was a great experience. Fast forward, middle school, junior high, going through early 20s, drank a lot, started drinking a lot. Had a few mishaps with my car and was like, oh, okay, something's going on, something needs to change. That was probably 22 maybe. And so I started kind of just going back to church. There was a young pastor that was there, Pastor Troy, that just had a cool personality, and I really liked him. That's where I met you. I knew the moment I met you, my heart, like fireworks went off. And I knew. you were the one for me. And I had no idea how to go about doing that because I still didn't know who I was. I was like, I can't let this one go. I can't let her go. I'm gonna have to figure it out somehow. Pretty much didn't drink anymore after I met you. I mean, I drink socially, but here and there.
On your alcohol? On your drug
You're my drug.
of choice?
You were one and are one of the best things that has ever happened to me. And you've opened up my world and helped me discover who I am and challenged me and loved me in the midst of your own story. So thank you. And I pursued you and you were like, no.
I was like, avoid all appearance of evil. We look gay. I can't be friends with this person.
Shannon has a pretty good legalistic religious background as well. You have definitely, in 8 years, I'll have been with you longer than I'll have been with you the same amount of time I have been without you. So we've been together 20 years, been married for 4. I always knew from a young age that I wanted to be married, and it's worth it.
You never told me that before, but you always wanted to be married. That's cool to know. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. That my relationship with you, I feel like, was the beginning of my healing process and being able to walk through a lot of things that I needed to walk through to be Shane in this world. Your encouragement, kicking my ass when I needed it, is important. I very much, not to mention that I wanted to be married, but your friendship changed my life, and I will forever be thankful for that. That's all for now. One of the other things was, so I told my mom probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. She didn't really say much.
What did you tell your parents?
I actually showed my mom a video of a little girl that transitioned. She was probably 5.
She was a boy and then she became a girl?
She was a girl and became a boy. My mom cried, and from my perspective, that was a good first step for me. It's been 4 years, and it hasn't been an easy road with my parents, especially my mom. My mom really wanted me to wear dresses to church, and at some point, when I was probably 10 or 11, 12, I said, I refuse. She accepted it, and I am thankful. I am very thankful for that moment. That was a defining moment for me that I can look back on and see that was kind of a decision that I made, at least to love myself. She respected it. So after I told her, I didn't really tell my dad. It was something that I knew would come eventually, but didn't really want to. After moving here and seeing this last year, changing my name to Shane unofficially, I've watched them, my mom and my dad and my family members, try to wrap their minds around that and see me as Shane. And it's been a difficult thing. But
Can I say my favorite thing to say at this point?
Yeah.
So, watching Shane through the last 20 years and watching him transition and struggle with who he was in the world and the insecurity and the self-doubt that has come from him trying to know what he thinks in here and assimilate what the world wants out here and how those two things be congruent has been a huge struggle. And I can't imagine knowing you when you were in puberty. That would have been awful to watch that confusion and that doubt and that self-hatred, yeah, that would have come out as a result of those things not being simple and congruent. So if you have a transgender people have been feeling weird all their lives, they only ask for you to be uncomfortable long enough to transition into a different gender or a different name or both. That's all they ask from you.
is to change a pronoun. And yes, it's hard. It's hard in our brains to transfer her to him. Is it life-giving?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Very much so. They're your core. Your family and your friends are your core. And so for them to wrap their mind around it,
Means you believe in this person.
right, they believe in me and they believe in my journey, which doesn't happen for everyone, and I didn't know if it was going to happen for me. It was a little bit of a difficult road, but the joy at them trying and playing with it and calling me Shane and messing up, and my mom calling me Shelly, her, Shane, and he in one sentence, you gotta chuckle about it. She's trying.
Transgender people know when you want to try and when you think that they are freaks. Let's not tell transgender people that they're freaks. Let's accept them. Let's accept them. It's just humanity.
Well spoken.
You may not understand gender dysphoria, and you may not understand, as I don't, what it's like to feel like a man on the inside and be a woman on the outside. But we can just have faith that this person is just a person, and what they say is truth to them. And we can just go with that and vote for them with our support.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I hug the interviewer?
I love you, Shane.